Throughout history, empires have clashed in ways the world has completely forgotten. But what if I told you that some of the deadliest conflicts in human history never made it into your textbooks? Today, we're uncovering the forgotten wars that changed civilizations, and nobody talks about them. Around 500 BCE, in ancient Anatolia, Greek colonies staged one of history's first organized rebellions against Persian rule. What happened next was brutal. Over 20 cities rose up simultaneously. The Persians responded with overwhelming force, burning Miletus to the ground, massacring 6,000 inhabitants and enslaving another 30,000. The entire city was completely erased from history. The rebellion collapsed in just 12 years. Greek survivors fled across the Mediterranean. Trade routes that had thrived for centuries simply vanished. But here's the twist. This failed rebellion actually sparked the Greco-Persian Wars that everyone remembers. The wars nobody knows about created the wars everyone studies. Fast forward to 1850. China was imploding. The Taiping Rebellion became the deadliest civil war in human history. More people died here than in all of World War I combined, and you've probably never heard its name. Between 20 and 30 million people perished. Some estimates push toward 40 million. The Yangtze River ran red for weeks. Entire provinces were depopulated. Villages were found with nobody left alive. Crops failed. Cities burned for years. The Chinese economy collapsed. Infrastructure that took centuries to build was destroyed in months. The region didn't recover for generations. This forgotten war weakened the Qing dynasty so severely that it never regained control. It directly led to China's century of humiliation, 50 years of colonial domination. One forgotten war reshaped an entire continent's destiny. Just across Asia, in 1868, Japan experienced its own hidden civil war. The Boshin War lasted only 18 months, but it completely transformed Japan from a feudal empire into a modern superpower. Around 8,000 soldiers died in direct combat, thousands more from disease and starvation. The samurai class, 2% of Japan's population, was completely dismantled, and Japan did it deliberately. The Meiji Emperor took absolute power. Feudalism ended overnight. Samurai were banned from carrying swords. Western technology flooded in. The entire society restructured itself in under 2 years. Japan went from isolated island nation to world power in 30 years. This forgotten war created the Japan that would reshape global politics. Nobody remembers it because the victory was so complete, the transformation so total, that the old system simply ceased to exist. After World War I, in 1919, Greece and Turkey went to war over the ruins of a dying empire. This war killed 750,000 people. It sparked the largest forced migration in European history, and it's basically been erased from modern conversation. 1.5 million Greeks and Turks were exchanged, forced to leave their ancestral homelands. Greek soldiers froze to death in Turkish mountains. Turkish forces executed civilians systematically. Smyrna, a thriving city of 400,000, was burned, and 100,000 were massacred. Greece lost territory it had controlled for 3,000 years. Turkish Anatolia was ethnically cleansed. Centuries-old communities simply vanished. Families were separated forever. An entire way of life ended in months. This war created the modern borders of Greece and Turkey that still exist today. It established the principle of ethnic nationalism, the idea that states should be ethnically pure. That principle would echo through the 20th century in the worst ways possible. These stories are being buried in history. If you want to see more forgotten conflicts that shaped everything, hit that subscribe button. You're not going to find this content anywhere else. In 1946, just as the Philippines gained independence, a peasant rebellion erupted. The government fought a war against communist insurgents that killed over 100,000 people. The entire conflict has been almost completely forgotten in global memory. Nearly 7,000 communist soldiers died, but over 100,000 civilians were caught in the middle. Entire villages were destroyed. The rural economy of the Philippines was devastated. The rebellion collapsed, but it never truly ended. It just went underground. The Philippine government became increasingly authoritarian to combat the threat. Democracy was permanently weakened before it barely began. This war set the template for Cold War conflicts across Asia. It was a template that would repeat in Vietnam, in Cambodia, in Laos, each time deadlier, each time more forgotten by Western audiences. Fast forward to 2000, the Israeli-Palestinian conflict exploded into something far worse than before. The Second Intifada killed over 3,000 people in just 5 years. Most of the world moved on to other news stories and never looked back. 3,236 Palestinians and 1,084 Israelis died. But the true number of displaced people exceeded 400,000. Entire neighborhoods were demolished. Economic infrastructure was destroyed on both sides. The Palestinian economy collapsed. Unemployment reached 50%. Israeli tourism evaporated. Security checkpoints divided families from their fields, from their jobs, from their lives. Normality became impossible. This 5-year war created divisions that persist today. Territory that was once integrated became fragmented. A generation of Palestinians and Israelis grew up knowing only violence. The psychological damage never healed. Here's what connects all these wars. They changed everything, but nobody remembers them. Wars that kill millions vanish from textbooks. Conflicts that redraw continents are forgotten within a generation. We're obsessed with World War II and World War I, but we ignore the wars that actually shaped the modern world. The scariest part? It's happening right now. There are conflicts unfolding today that we'll forget about in 20 years. Wars that will reshape everything. And we're not even paying attention. If this video opened your eyes to the history nobody teaches, subscribe, because these stories matter. They change everything, and they deserve to be remembered. Thanks for watching. See you in the next one.